What is up, everybody? Station! Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to Rockin Robbie Live here on a Sunday night, February 27th, 2022, to be exact. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the show where we talk about movies, comic books, pop culture, all that, and a whole lot more, and we do it in a really fun way, and this involves you out there in the chat because this show is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns. Get them in right now. Let's see some shout-outs to the people already out there in the chat. What's up, GT Key Comic? What's up, Todd Christian? What's up, PJ King? What's up, Joram? What's up, R. Ariaga? What's up, Two Gun Pedro? Pew Pew, my wizard man, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Evil Face Bad? What's up, Rogue Collecting? Moni in the house, and Eric D, what is up? Man, a great show over at Blame Fable tonight on Instagram. I missed the majority of the twins conversation because I had to continue to watch Superman movies. After this Bond Fest, I thought I was free, had to watch all these Superman movies for tomorrow night, and I had to watch Superman 3 this afternoon after watching Ip Man, which we're going to be talking about that. We have a great show planned. Let's just say that. We're going to be talking about our favorite comic books from last week. We'll be looking ahead at what's coming up in shops this week, including the DC sneak peek. We're going to be doing the movie review on Ip Man, the latest from my Sifu Bullseye Bob in my Kung Fu movie journey. We're going to be doing an Image in the 90s. We're going to be talking about X-Men the Animated Series, Episode 7, Slave Island, Top 5 Movies 1976, all that and more, because like I said before, this show is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns. So when you get in the chat, say what's up, say station, throw a pop, boom, whatever you have to do in the room to boom. How are you doing? What do you want to talk about? Let's get it going. I will say you can follow me on Twitter at the Rockin Robbie. You can, not the Rockin Robbie, it's the Rockin Robbie. You can join the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, might as well follow Pop Culture Philosophers there and on Instagram. You can support the channel over at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine PCP patrons right there, or with Super Chat tonight, and you never know what happens when a Super Chat drops because it depends on my level of sobriety, probably. I don't know. Right now, feeling good, but not too heavy. So anyway, Station, how are y'all doing? We really do appreciate all the support. Check out the channel this week, tomorrow morning. Our latest episode of Comics Revisited about Akira, the immortal masterpiece from Katsuhiro Otomo, Akira. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow morning. Join us. That's at 9 a.m. for the premiere of that. Then, of course, tomorrow night, PCP Movie Night, 8 p.m. Central Time, we're going to be talking about Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4. The quadrilogy of Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Very excited for that. And even more excited for Saturday night on Dylan's Horror Show, where we kick off PCP March Madness over at Dylan's Horror Show with The Entity. Really, really exciting times coming up. And you know it.
Hey there, Dynamite fans. I am here to give you the quick sneak peek of what's coming on our Monday show this February 28th. We're going to have Spider-Gwen number 2, Vampirella Strikes number 4, the Blood Red Ultra Limited cover, Superman and Wonder Woman number 15 signed by Pete Tomasi, and we're going to have more commission cover art, maybe a statue, a mega kit, and so much more. Please join us this Monday, February 28th, here on The Experience at 6 p.m. I'll be there. So's Rex and John and Robbie. Hope to see you there.
All right, we are back. So, what does everybody want to talk about? What's the topic of conversation tonight? Let's see. We got some more people up in the chat. What's up, William? Everyone picked up the free Den of Geek mag with the Batman cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. I have not. I think we got those in, but I didn't actually take a look at them. So I'll have to do that. I didn't notice he did the cover there, so that's really cool. What's up, Twitch? How you doing? What's up, Comic Toby 420? What's up, Adam? Where do you store all your comics? Like when you reviewed them, do you keep all of them? Pop, boom. No, I don't keep all of them. Some of them I buy, and the ones I buy I share on my new Instagram show that I do Wednesday nights as part of Whiplash Wednesday. We do that at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, leading into Big Herm Collectibles' YouTube show Let's Talk About It Remastered with Fable and Steph. They've been going through, Battlestar Galactica. But where I keep them, I keep all my comics in short boxes. And right now, they're not all in order, but each individual box is in order. I just have to marry them together, I should say, par them down. And then, like, I have a rack. It's one of those racks, I don't know what you call it, but you would put it in your garage or something to, a storage rack, right? So I built one of those. It's common for a lot of people to use these things. So that holds a lot of my boxes. And then the rest of the boxes are on the floor right over there and some in the corner over there. And then there are some in the bedroom, too. Yeah, so right now, each individual box is in order in and of itself. Eventually, I'll have to marry them all together. What's up? Evil Face Bad says, anybody playing Elden Ring? How about you, Robbie? Any Elden Ring? No Elden Ring for me. Notoriously, I do not really play video games post the N64 era, for the most part. I'm more of a vintage guy. I don't play a lot of games to begin with. I don't have any modern-day systems in my house. The only gaming system I have in my house right now is I have a Wii that I have an emulator on, and then I have a little tiny, one of those newer Sega Genesises. It's not the old school one. It's the one that has like preloaded games on it. I have one of those, and I have one of those for the Atari 2600. So those are the games I play. Basically, your classic NES, SNES, and then of course I got that Genesis and the Atari. Because those are the ones I remember the most fondly. I do want an N64 again, though. GoldenEye, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario 64, Mario Kart, the first Mario parties, all that stuff. So no, I haven't played it. But if anybody has played it, let us know what you think about it in the chat. What's up, Trade Paper Dad? What's up, Tyler? How y'all doing? What's up, Manny Station? Manny's going to be on the show tomorrow morning. We recorded it on Friday, but we're going to drop it tomorrow morning. Akira, Comics Revisited. This is a masterpiece of a work of comic books, manga, whatever you want to call it. It's glorious, and it was a really great conversation. So I'm excited for y'all to check it out. What's up, Joe? Hi, Robbie. Someone got me the Milestone Compendium 1. Looking forward to reading the classic Milestone stuff. Yeah, I want to pick that up too, Joe. I've been picking up other things, but I do want to get that and carve out time to revisit it. Maybe do some DC in the 90s or Milestone in the 90s, I should say, right? That's kind of a plan. I would like to really, really do that. Hey, if we get enough super chats tonight, I'll use it for the Milestone book. Shit, yeah. All super chats tonight go to the Milestone Compendium, which could lead to some Milestone in the 90s segments here on Rockin Robbie Live. But all the support we need is just being here, participating in the show, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that jazz. Let people know that this is the hippest place to be on Sunday night to talk about comics, movies, pop culture, and a whole lot more with the PCP Army. What's up, Russell? First time joining you live, Robbie. Station, Russell, we really do appreciate that. Thank you for your weekly reviews. You steered me to Step by Bloody Step and Heavy Metal Drummer. Thank you. Really, truly awesome debuts. I really enjoyed both of those books, Russ. I'm glad I could be of service. What's up, Trenton? Let's see. Heavy Metal Drummer was really cool, yeah. Our Ariaga was surprised by Carnage that came out this week. Yeah, Carnage Forever. Just cleaned out my backlog. What's in your backlog? What's in my personal backlog? I have a whole table in Studio B that's covered in things to do for like Image in the 90s, Marvel in the 90s, Marvel in the 80s, DC in the 80s, DC in the 90s, shit like that. Tons of stuff for that. Tons of stuff for Robbie's reads, some manga reviews, some Daniel Clow stuff, some Peter Bagg stuff. So that's some stuff I'm really looking forward to getting to. There's that book by Mazzucchelli, Asterios Polyp or something like that. I have never read that, but I have a copy of that. And there's another one that's being added to that backlog that we'll be showing off tonight. I hate organizing short boxes. I have my Amazing Spider-Man run in 6 different boxes. Hell yeah. One thing is all my Fantastic Fours, at least all my Fantastic Fours up until probably 2019 are all in one spot. Or I should say all of the Fantastic Fours up until the relaunch, whenever that was, by Dan Slott, All of them up until that point, I know where they are, and they're all together. They're in the primo spot, actually. Twitch says, if anyone is interested in a really good and soul-crushing game that can help support civilians in Ukraine, check out this game, This War of Mine. All right. Dominique, what's up? PJ says, Ghost Rider by Percy had a horror vibe. The end seemed rushed, but still good. Cards fans in the house. Gave up boxes years ago. Everything is in filing cabinets now. Love them. Hell yeah. Fargate says, Robbie, thought you just kept all your books at the store unless you're reviewing them. Ha ha. No, that's not the case. I do review a lot of books and then take them back. But, I do buy a lot of books. And I back issue dive and things like that. Ba-da-da-da-da. Manny with the 80s kid. Rob, you got any Lord of the Rings figures? No, I don't. I like the Lord of the Rings movies. I've never read the books. I have them in one complete edition. Brooks one year got me The Hobbit for like Christmas or my birthday or something. And I read it and I loved it. So the next year he got me this complete Lord of the Rings set. And I have never read it. So I need to get to it. But no, I don't have any figures. Brooks is the guy that has some Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. He's the big Tolkien guy here. Joe says, Akira was the first anime movie I ever saw. It was, I think I say this on the show tomorrow morning, but I said it wasn't the first anime that I watched, but it was the first one I liked. The first one that I really, really liked. And I really started appreciating it more. Now, the manga blows the movie out of the park. Not saying any kind of shit about the movie, because the movie's good, okay? The movie's great. But the manga is a whole nother level, I think. Trent says, I have like 3 full short boxes from my backlog. I'll take a picture of my backlog and put it in the PCP Army or something later. The table I was talking about. Trent says, the only organization I have is one box for all of my covers and one box for all my number ones and keys, and then a box for all my Walking Dead comics. That's pretty good, Trent. That's good. Felipe, what's up? Says, what do you think about the ending of Primordial by Jeff Lemire? I loved the ending. I know a lot of people thought it was rather breezy and kind of confusing. And I think it's one that they want you to kind of dwell on, pay attention to the visual nature of the storytelling from the first issue all the way through. You got to pay. I would recommend that people go back, reread it, pay attention to what's happening visually, like every even little geometric trick that Sorrentino's doing. Pay attention to what is happening in the story and what's happening visually, and then start correlating things, and then I think the ending starts becoming a bit more clear. This is a straight up visually told story that had all of its nuance, I think, in the artistic side, on the side of the art, I should say. But I loved it. I liked it a lot. Made my pick of the week that week. Was Akira the first anime movie in U.S. theaters? Maybe, William. I can't say that for certain. But I can say that it was the first, that the manga was the first Japanese manga completely translated into English. I know that factoid because I learned it for the Akira Revisited. Anyway, we're going to kick it off with the first 6. We're already into the show, but we've been going through my Blu-ray collection. Let's continue to do so. We left off in the M's. There's Motel Hell right there. This is the Scream Factory version. I love this movie. This movie slaps. It's great. It's fun. It's ridiculous. And a little bit scary, but not like super scary. It's not scary at all. We covered that on Dylan's Horror Show. That was a great episode for that show. And then we have The Mummy. This is the remake from 98, 99, something like that. Stephen Sommers got the slip with the foil slip. But I love that. I love that movie. And I really like The Mummy Returns. So glad to have both of these. This is the deluxe edition. This is the deluxe edition. Don't have the slip for The Mummy Returns. What can I do? Then we got My Bloody Valentine. I've got the Steelbook for that. This is the Scream Factory version that has the theatrical cut and the uncut version with the newly discovered, it's got more gore and stuff, and it's pretty rad. But My Bloody Valentine's great. We covered that movie on a PCP movie night last year for Valentine's Day. And then we got Near Dark. We covered this one in Horror Fest a couple years ago. I love this movie, one of my favorite vampires movies, and seriously, just one of my favorites. Love that movie. And then we got Next Avengers. This is one of those animated films. I don't know if Marvel's really been keeping up, but at the time when DC was doing their animated films, Marvel was trying to do theirs. They didn't quite hit or were as good as some of those early DC animated films, but this one was really freaking good. Brian Michael Bendis eventually brought some of these characters into possible continuity in the Avengers run during the Heroic Age with John Romita Jr. and others. So I think they're even being referenced still today, but not as often as one would like. This was actually a really, really cool movie. Maybe because it was all original. But that is the first 6 tonight. Stay tuned to the end of the show where we do the final 9. All right. We now pause for station identification. All right. Let's see what the chat was saying. Evil Face Bad says, what was the first anime you were introduced to? Mine was Thundercats in the 80s as a kid. Then I got on to Ninja Scroll. Well, if we're counting Thundercats, if that counts as anime, then I guess Thundercats. I loved and adored Thundercats and Silverhawks when I was a kid. I was more into Silverhawks, the show, and I think it was like the same animation or something. But then, yeah, it was Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D. I didn't really like either of those. And I saw those probably at like 13 or 14, so we're probably talking like mid-90s there. But then I had watched Akira shortly after that. Akira, then Blood the Last Vampire, I think is what. Blood Plus, I think, was the show that came after. Then it was Blood the Last Vampire. Then it was Ghost in the Shell. That first movie. And then I would never really say that I was into anime or anything, but during the Adult Swim days, my buddies Brooks and George, they lived, Brooks, they lived next door to me, and we lived in the same apartment complex, and I would go over there, and we were watching Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop and Big O and things like that, and then I kind of got a little bit more into it, ultimately started digging into it on my own when I worked at a movie stop, which was like a used media type store, involving DVDs. And when I first started there, they were getting rid of their VHS collections. But I started getting into things like Lane and what was it? Trinity Blood, Escaflowne. Also Neon Genesis, Evangelion. I love that shit. I watched that back in the day too. So Samurai 7, but very limited in my experience with anime still. Brooks is the one you want to talk to on that. Gunslinger Spawn. Holy crap, what a twist at the end. Yeah, I've been liking that book. I thought that was the best issue of that one yet. Cards Fan says, my backlog bought several thousand comic books in a collection a few years back, mostly from the 90s. Great stuff. Still been making my way through it all. That sounds like fun, Cards, actually. Sounds like super, super fun. Ariaga, I saw a bootleg copy of Akira 2 years after it came out, and it was really in a different league. The quality of the animation, depth of the characters and the story, just amazing. Yes, 100%. 100%. And it's just as significant and a watershed moment for manga and comics. Keith in the house saying Astro Boy was the first. All right. I thought Akira was the first one fully to be translated in its entirety, because it was the Marvel Comics stuff. But I could be mistaken. Probably am. Nah, Manny, I do not have Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. There is a piece of me that thinks I need to get it. Maybe it's got Jet Li in it. That's fine. I'm a little bit more of a Jet Li fan nowadays. But I don't know, man. That movie never really sat well with me. But if I've ever found a cheap copy for like $1, I wouldn't say no. Let's just say that. Big Llama in the house. What's up? And we got Bueller. Hi, Robbie. You are good. Thank you, Bueller. You are good, too. There is something that puzzles me. Why is there never a mention of Elephant Men and Hip Flask? I have read some Hip Flask and Elephant Men, but I have not ever, first of all, been able to dive into all. They've not been, like, it's not something that, I don't know, I just never really dived into it. I have read certain bits of it, and for even a moment there, I was collecting it, and I dug what I was reading, but, like, I never really super fell into it, and it was always hard for me to, like, find collections or issues to get caught up. So yeah, I haven't really dived into that one. It's definitely something I'd like to do. Too bad you did not do the Superman 2 Donner Cut. Superman 2 Donner Cut, I think, is the best of those 4 movies. I rewatched Superman 2 the other night, and does not hold up to what I love and adore about that Donner Cut. That Donner Cut to me is freaking amazing. Twitch says Vampire Hunter D was the first anime movie. We are definitely going to be talking about the Donner Cut tomorrow night, though. You can't have a discussion on Superman 2 and not have a discussion, I think, about the 2 cuts, especially now that we've gotten to see it. Where's Scorpion King? If I had Scorpion King, it'd be in the S's. I don't have Scorpion King in my collection, Big Llama. Robotech for Joe. Bueller says, Robbie, why don't you do a first and final 5? I would be honored if you wanted to keep that going. Oh, bruh. Ugh. That's too much. It's too much responsibility, Bueller. It started out as a bit, first 6, final 9. It was a joke. It was a bit. And now it's turned into honoring and continuing a legacy and a tradition. I'd be honored. Tonight will be the last first 6 and final 9. And we'll continue the tradition in honor of Bueller. Now I got to get a graphic to go along with it, finally. In honor of you, buddy. Station. Pop, pop, boom, Bueller. Bueller's on the road soon, I bet, man. Used to watch Gigantor on TV super early in the morning, like 4 or 5 a.m. What the hell are you doing up at 4 or 5 a.m., Dominique? Just getting in. Brian, I love Detective Conan, Case Closed. Okay. I'm not familiar with any of those. I've heard of Case Closed, but I've never checked it out. Tyler, I was really into Rurouni Kenshin and that one show with the dude in the green outfit, and he fought demons. All right. William says, Marvel should just do animated movies based on comic stories like Kree Skrull War, Korvac Saga, Night Gwen Stacy Died, Days of Future Past, Secret Invasion, while keeping true to the comics. Seemed to work for DC when they were doing it, right? Two Fat Guys Pool List says, Neon Genesis Evangelion is the best. Have you watched the Rebuild movies? Only the first 2. Bus is great, enjoying life. Hell yeah, buddy. Ghost Rider felt like a show, not a comic. I would watch a Wii 3 animated movie. I would watch the hell out of a Wii 3 animated movie, Tyler. No shit. The problem is it would be animated, and so it would have animals, and so people would think it's like a kid's movie, and kids like crying and shit. I'm doing great, Bueller, especially now that I get to continue the first 5 and final 5 tradition. Ugh. I am honestly honored. That is fucking great. I was always afraid we were going to get in trouble for the 69-bit, guys. I did get Superman Returns for $1. I love Superman Returns, actually. We're not going to be covering that one. Everybody's like, why aren't you covering Superman Returns? When I say everybody, I mean like people in my life, like at the shop or in the crew. They're like, why not Superman Returns? I was like, bruh, I just finished watching 25 Bond movies all smushed together. And reading all of Akira. Like, and now I got all Superman. Like, calm down. I still got to watch Superman 4 tonight. So I don't think we're doing a 4-hour show tonight, y'all. Lois shoots Clark with the gun. Yeah, that was a good bit. I like that. Superman 2 is better. There's more of the Lex Luthor stuff. More of it makes sense. The villains are better. It still has a funny... The thing is, Superman 3, I just watched it. Just finished it. But that shit... What the fuck were they thinking? They're like, you know what was really what made Superman 1 and 2 work? The funny stuff. we need to have more funny stuff. Or maybe they were like, we got Richard Pryor. We got to make the movie funny. It starts with a whole like fucking weird ass bit. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I have Elephant Man Volume 1 and enjoyed it, but you're right, Robbie. The collections are difficult to come by these days. Yeah, that's a big problem with some of these indie books that, like, I've been wanting to dive into Faust again. I haven't read Faust comics since the fucking 90s when I was reading my buddy's stepdad's copies, and I was like, I got to start collecting some Faust. That being said, I did buy a 5th printing of 8 Ball number 1 that's on the way. So I can't wait to get that in and show it off one day. I have not watched Raised by Wolves Berserker. Did he just say? I thought so. Okay. Yeah, I've been reading it. Has all been incredible. All the Venom titles, all the Superman titles, all the Batman family titles, and more. Living the dream. Hell yeah, Cards fan. That's some of my favorite shit to dive into. Like when we buy collections, and I spend a lot of time, especially on Saturday, that's kind of like my day to go through a box or two of a collection, and I freaking love it. This week was mostly Spider-Man stuff from the 2000s and 2010s or whatnot, so it was all right. It wasn't as exciting as the week before, which was all 80s and 90s. 80s and 90s stuff I really like going through the most, man. That's like my wheelhouse right there. I could like do like Uncle Scrooge. You could just get me like 80 bajillion copies of Darkhawk and Sleepwalker and Amazing Spider-Man and any Maximum Carnage title and Bloodlines from DC and Death of Superman and Nightfall. You give me all this shit and fucking put it in a vault and I'll just fucking swim in it and come out just covered in paper cuts and like, and then it dies and that's the end. Maybe that's the first short film that we should do for PCP. That'd be a good one. Is Neil Gaiman Batman book ever going to be released about Batman at the Circus? Gaiman said it was almost finished a couple years ago, and I was thinking about it due to the new movie. I have no idea. I didn't even know Neil Gaiman was doing a Batman book involving a circus, to be honest with you. I had no idea. Standalone Complex was pretty great. I had that on DVD for a while, and I'm pretty sure I watched it sometimes, but those were like late nights coming home from work, blazing out and watching episodes. Bueller never hits the road. He just lives on the bus and Bob's driving. He just uses that green. He's been practicing on those green screen skills, man. Spilio in the house. What's up, Station? Yeah, I did see a TV series, and I did watch part 2, but it's been so long ago. Brooks was in the house, and I missed his comment somehow. I got distracted from it. Where was he? There he is. Robbie used to make fun of me all the time for watching anime. That's true. Robbie, you got Star Trek figures? Yeah, I do. What's your favorite Star Trek show? DS9, TNG, slightly under. But yeah, I have Star Trek figures. In fact, that's Odo and Quark right there. So, yeah. I have a lot of Star Trek figures, actually. Not too many. Like, I don't like obsessively buy Star Trek figures. But I mean, if they're around and they're cheap enough. No, but I do have like the main. I have all the crew of of DS9. I have most of all the crew for, just making sure I have certain pieces of TNG. I have the Star Trek TOS Bridge series. I don't have any figures. I guess I could get the Voyager ones. That would be okay. I guess I wouldn't mind that. Let's see, Manny's saying something here. That's the only reason I'm sitting this one out. I would have totally been on this movie night if we were covering Returns. I mean, it's only the greatest of all Superman movies ever, star Brandon Ruth. You're right about that. Emmanuel in the house. Robbie, in the weekly pop culture wrap-up, you forgot about the Iron Cat limited series by Jed McKay and Pepe Larraz, or Perez. No, I didn't forget about it. The thing is, that news hadn't dropped yet when I recorded that video. So I record the weekly wrap-up usually in Friday afternoon, like right after noon, right? And so I recorded it. I got all my research done. I recorded it, did it, put it up, had it ready for the next day. Then I got online and I was like, fuck, Iron Cat. So I missed it. I just missed it. So, yeah, that news broke after I did it. If I miss something, usually that's what happens. Robbie, do you have all the Amityville movies? I have most of them. let me... I think there's like... Well, I don't have the remake, and I don't remember if they did... Did they do more after the remake? Okay, let's see here. Let me look at the franchise here. Whoa, there's a lot. No, I definitely don't have all those. I have Amityville Horror. I have 1, 2, and 3. I have The Evil Escapes. I have Dollhouse. I have A New Generation. I think I have Curse. There's one of those that I don't have in there. Then I don't have anything after that. I'll have to actually look at them because they lose me after that. I might grab them during the break if I can remember. Thoughts on the recently announced Clobberin' Time limited series by Steve Scroce? I didn't see that one, actually. I always called him Steve Scroce, and recently I heard people calling him Steve Scroce. So, well, that's the wrong one. What are we talking about here? Let's see. I don't know. I have to look into that because right now it's just pulling up a bunch of CM Punk stuff. But yeah, if it's a Thing series by Steve Scroce, that would be cool. Robbie only does 4-hour shows on his movie reviews. You know, the movies that are only 90 minutes long. Yeah, that's right. You're right about that, Bueller. Joe says, love the Lion Voltron, but the cars were not as good. Yeah, I've heard that. I've never seen the car ones. PJ says, Superman Returns was underrated. Kate Bosworth was too young to play Lois Lane, though. Man of Steel sucked, but at least they got the casting of Lois Lane right. Lois Lane should be in her early 30s, says PJ. I like Kate Bosworth in that movie, but I would agree that she's a little young. I don't think Man of Steel sucked. But, I mean, I liked it. That's just me, but I know a lot of people that don't. Would love to see Maximum Carnage done as an anime movie. That could be dope. Mike says, there is supposed to be a Faust collection out sometime this year, according to artist Tim Vigil. Oh, they are working on it. Hell yeah. Nick, Comic Culture in the house. Station. Big Herm in the house. Station. Nick saying, had a great time on the monthly comic reviews. Absolutely. If you missed out on that, me, Nick, Verno, Jim Mint, and Joe Corallo, and Greg from Bearded Comic Bro all gathered together to discuss our favorite comic books of February. That was a good, long, almost 3-hour stream. We had a lot of fun, though. Lots of fun on that stream. Thank you for being there, Nick. All the wrenches show up. Just watch For the Love of Comics and his top 10 Image comics. What are your favorites? Like top 10 Image comics ever or of all time? I'll have to... That's actually a top 5 list I was wanting to compile. So that's a good idea. Stay tuned. Off the Dome, currently being published. Ice Cream Man. I'll give you that. Saga, I'll give you that. Silver Coin, for the most part, I'll give you that. I really like that book. Homesick Pilots. These are some good ones that are currently being published. Department of Truth. Ariaga says, I missed the Was It Good section for Bueller's Monday show. Any chance to convince Bob to do that section of his show with you? There's going to be plenty of content from those two, I bet. Superman Returns is the one where Lex tries to recreate Krypton. Yeah, well, he's trying to create more land mass or whatever, because in Superman 1 and 2, it's all about land for Lex, and in Superman 3, it's all about coffee beans and then oil for that dude. They're just James Bond fucking plots, basically, from that time. Comment on the McFarlane figure with the comic coming soon. Yeah, what are they called? The, God, I can't remember what they're called, but they're supposed to be $10 figures. They're like little 3 3/4 inch figures, it looks like, that come with the comic book associated with the character. Todd showed off Superman, Flash, Batman, and Black Adam. I'm all for that. That's great. Easily collectible, $10. You get a comic, you get a little toy. Those are going to wind up in shops, right? kids are going to get those because they know Superman. Like, people are going to buy those. Of course, grown-ass men are going to be snatching them up too. But maybe some kids will get them. Maybe they'll read those comics that come with them. Maybe they'll start trying to figure out something. That's, I think, a really solid idea of thinking about cheap-ass Toy Plus comic to kids. That's great. Have you ever read any of the old Milestone Media comics? I have not. We were discussing earlier that compendium that came out. It's like a $60 compendium. And I said that if we get any super chats tonight, I'll throw that towards buying that, and we'll definitely cover some in a new segment we'll do, Milestone in the 90s. Are you a friend of the Garfield and Friend cartoon series? Yes, I used to watch that shit all the time when I was a kid. Really, really enjoy it. Spilio says, curious as to why no one is talking about Adventure Man from Image. The Dodsons are killing it. The book is gorgeous. I like the artwork, but I wasn't really quite invested in the story. I did read it for a few issues, but I just kind of fell off of it. So maybe I should jump back in and check out that, recheck it out in the hardcover form or whatever. The space shuttle scene is badass. Only really cool part of that flick, in my honest opinion, in Superman Returns. I like how Lex is played out as a villain in the movie. A way better Lex than Batman vs. Superman. Lois having Superman's kid and getting married all within 9 months. I love Kevin Spacey as Luthor. Kevin Spacey's performed in a lot of my favorite movies. Obviously, we found out that he's kind of not a good person. That kind of taints it maybe a little bit, but I still love his turn as Lex Luthor. 100%. All right. It's time to talk about comic books. Like we already have been. Like we haven't been talking about comic books and shit. Let's talk about last week. Think back. Out of everything you got last week, everything you read last week, what was your favorite? What, in fact, was your pick of the week? My pick of the week was Radio Apocalypse, issue number 2. It was a long time coming. We got issue number 1 at the end of December or something, and now we've got Radio Apocalypse issue number 2, finally, for me, well worth the wait. I freaking love this book. I think Ram V is crafting a very rich story in a very interesting way. The first thing that we got to talk about off the bat is the beautiful artwork. I love Anand R.K., and if you look at his work on books like, say, Blue and Green and Graffiti's Wall, books he did with Ram V, compare that style to this, you can tell it's the same person, but it's a different mood. It's a different tone. It's a different atmosphere that's more appropriate to this story. So first of all, I love the freaking artwork. Anisha on the coloring. Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. The lettering is spot on here. The coloring is great. The composition, the way the pace of the thing flows, and the writing. So it's about the last vestiges of humanity. It's like a post-apocalyptic world or something, however you want to put it. There are these mutated creatures that are living in the desert between these different outposts of humanity, and they're all starting to slowly die out. And this is about one of the last outposts, right? Who has an influx of people from another outpost on the way. They don't have enough power, energy, or supplies, right? Power and energy together, that's a little redundant, but you know what I'm saying, right? Then they also have this idea of this radio station at this last outpost of humanity, right? And there's this dude who's just blazing music out. And this song, or I should say this comic, has a soundtrack. So there are moments in the book where it lets you know what to listen to. For instance, she plays Day Tripper. So at that moment, you play Day Tripper. And when you do, you go to the next page. And it just has a nice pace and flow through it. And I read the book with the music. I read the book without the music. It worked either way. I love it. It's a story about hope in the last days of humanity and how we find hope, inspiration through art. In particular, music, maybe even a comic book. I got that badass Martin Simmons cover, which I absolutely love. So that by far was my pick of the week, but a very close second was this heavy metal drummer. I wanted to bring this back out so I could show you a little bit more of the artwork close up. This book was wild. It comes from Behemoth. It's about this heavy metal drummer shows up to band practice one day or some shit. And they're like, you better not suck this time. Then we get this whole idea of these like reptilian creatures that are sending like their spores, their seeds to the planet Earth, and it's in the sewers, and then therefore it infects the rats. The rats in turn infect the cats. The cats infect cat ladies, who then turn young and become seducers of men, right? Who then infect them, and therefore from planet to planet, this is what they do. However, thank the gods, we've got this heavy metal drummer who has been overcome by some kind of force that's going to give him the power to possibly fight these beings and these entities. I love and adore and cherish this artwork. I like the little tiny format. It's smaller than your typical comic right there. But heavy metal drummer blew me away. Definitely check this one out. Definitely check that one out if it sounds like something you're into. Those are my favorites last week. What were your favorite comics last week? What was your pick of the week? Hey, two fat guys pool list. Thank you so much for the super chat. Station. We really do appreciate that two fat guys pool list. Station right back at you. You're helping support the cause. We appreciate it. And tonight, all super chats go to purchasing the Milestone Compendium Collection Volume 1 so we can start unlocking new segments here on Rockin Robbie Live called Milestone in the 90s. What's up, Michael? How are you doing? All right, we're talking about our favorite comic books of last week. So what were they? We got PJ King saying Ghost Rider. I didn't really dig Ghost Rider that much, but I know a lot of people really did, so that's freaking awesome. Perry says, Zach. Perry says, Station. What's up, my man? How you doing? Supermassive was fantastic, says Two Fat Guys Pool List. Albert Loves Comics says the artwork in this book is bonkers. When it comes to your comic collection, what percentage are single issues? You mean like opposed to trades? The majority of them are single issues. Probably 70%. 70, 75%. Taki is in the house. Shang-Chi and Blue and Gold finally says, Station, everyone. Manny says, Radio Apocalypse for the win. Nick coming in with Radio Apocalypse, Saga, Step by Bloody Step, Berserker, and Human Target were my top 5 this week. Good top 5. Darkseid is saying Silver Surfer. Todd saying, Miss Marvel Beyond the Limit 3 was my pick of the week. Samira Ahmed is doing a fantastic job. I just wish it was an ongoing. Saladin Ahmed, right? Eric says, I can't believe it, but the 10 Deaths of Wolverine was my pick of the week. The parallels and connections sold me. Fair enough. Darkseid is says, Ghost Rider was cool also. Kit Cloud Kicker's in the house. Station. Tyler says, Heavy Metal Drummer and Step by Bloody Step. However, I haven't read all my books yet. Twitch says, Step by Bloody Step didn't think it was possible to fit that much storytelling into a book with no words. It said more with no words than most books say with 20 plus pages of dialogue. Dominique says, pick of the week was either Heavy Metal Drummer or Orphan and the Five Beasts, number 4. I really want to get into that. Chuck says, whoa, LSD-inspired writing. John Thomas. I can't quite do it like Herm. Chillmonger in the house. What's up? Evil Face Bad says, my pick of the week was Usagi Yojimbo, Lone Goat, and Kid, issue number 2. That rabbit and his stories are fire. Yes, they are. Silver Surfer Rebirth number 2 was kind of interesting too. Yeah, I like that one. Joe says, for DC, Robin. For Marvel, Ben Reilly, Spider-Man. Kit Cloud Kicker says, Zombie was Milestone's best book. Hell yeah. I just started reading Chip Zdarsky's The All-Nighter, and it's pretty fun so far. Moni says, Gunslinger was my pick of the week. Brett Booth is killing it, I agree. Icy Cold Milk in the house, yo. Tacos on Wednesday says, you're biased against Marvel. Am I? I don't think so. I just want good comics. I like some Marvel comics. I like some DC. I like some indies. I don't think I have a bias against Marvel. Chillmonger says, I only read one comic, so Miss Marvel number 3. Kid Cloud Kicker says, zombie was science horror mixed with fairy tales. Hell yeah. So that's like a $60 trade. We got $10 in super chats already. I'll meet you halfway. We get $20 more. We're going to make it happen this week. Are we in agreement that Death's Head is the best Marvel comic character ever? I don't know about that, but he's up there, right? Definitely one of the best of the year that he was created, I'll say. The Trade Paper Dad says, X Death's a Wolverine, a.k.a. Inferno Part 5 to 10. Usagi's a rabbit, but to me, he's the GOAT, says Perry. Station! That was such a good comment. We're giving you official station identification, Perry. That was well done. Well done, good sir. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and, verify some things. All right. I see that there's one more X-Men book. Hickman has an online story or something. Am I missing something? Yeah, there was a digital first comic book that he did with Declan Shalvey. It was like a Wolverine story. From what I've heard, it was all right, but it's nothing like game-changing or nothing. It's just kind of like just a decent kind of little one-and-done story is what I've heard. But they're putting that in print soon. R.R. Iaga says, I read Department of Truth while listening to the Suspiria soundtrack, and damn, definitely my pick of the week. Twitch says, you do seem to have a shorter rope on Marvel books before you let them drop, but you also get DC books in advance of Marvel books, making it easier to read more. That is something that is true. It's easier for me to hang on with DC just because I get to read them earlier, and Marvel ones I'm reading the day I'm doing the review. So there is something that probably has a lot to do with my tolerance. Just finished Savage Avengers, says Cards Fan. Duggan did good. Very nice series. Also finished Red Mother. It was really good too. Different and good. I like both of those series. Savage Avengers has been a really fun Marvel series. I liked it. And I'm excited for it to return because it's David Pepose. So that's really freaking cool. Perry says, Perry will return with more great comics next week. Hashtag Skeletor. I got you, He-Man. Oh, Billy, you're looking jacked, brother. Joe says, also love Strange Academy. I love Strange Academy. Strange Academy, Ben Reilly Spider-Man, and Silver Surfer Rebirth. 3 Marvel books I absolutely loved last week. Da-da-da-da-da. All right. Moving on, let's take a look at what's coming up in shops this week. Lots of cool stuff out this week, including Batman 121, Detective Comics 1055, Amazing Spider-Man 91, Moon Knight number 9, there's a Marvel book I'm loving, Justice League 73, X-Men number 9, Dark Knights of Steel number 5, Fantastic Four number 41, Nice House on the Lake returns with issue number 7, Star Wars The High Republic number 15, Star Wars number 21, Noctera number 8, Crossover number 12, Daredevil Woman Without Fear number 3, that's a Marvel book I'm enjoying, She-Hulk number 2, Alien number 10, that's a Marvel book for the most part I'm enjoying, Devil's Reign X-Men number 2, Black Panther number 4, Strange number 1, I like Jed McKay's work over at Marvel. Suicide Squad number 13, Justice League Incarnate number 5, Batman Killing Time number 1, Devil's Reign, Spider-Man number 1, Spider-Woman number 20, Arkham City, The Order of the World, Avengers Forever number 3, The Walking Dead Deluxe number 34, Star Wars The High Republic Eye of the Storm number 2, Static Season 1 number 6, Captain America, Iron Man number 4, What If Miles Morales Became Captain America, New Burn number 4, The Thing number 5, Rogue Sun is a new one from Image Comics this week, Trial of the Amazons kicks off. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's a lie. That didn't come out this week. Surely I wouldn't have missed that. Did I miss that? War for Earth 3, number 1. The Monkey Prince, number 2. Adventure Man, number 8. One Star Squadron, number 4. Magic Order 2, number 5. Last Book You'll Ever Read, number 5. Dark Knights of Steel has this book called The Gathering Storm. It's a collection for like $6.99 of 1, 2, and 3. If you missed it, definitely worth checking out. World of Krypton, number 4. Magic the Gathering, number 12. Radio Spaceman, number 1. That's a new one from Dark Horse Comics, Mike Mignola. Cowboy Bebop, number 2. Transformers Beast Wars 13. Nita Hall's Nightmare Blog, number 5. The Blue Flame, number 7. Until My Knuckles Bleed, number 5. A Thing Called Truth, number 5. Hellcop, number 5. Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, number 4. Hell Sonia, number 3. Swamp Dogs, number 2. Follow Me Into Darkness, number 1. Dynamite Never Dies, number 1. Great Mummy homage cover by Tony Fleece. Love and Rockets, number 11. Love and Rockets back in the house. I've never read Love and Rockets. It's another one on the backlog. Rick and Morty, Corporate Assets, number 4. Loaded Bible, Blood of My Blood, number 1. That's from Image. Star Trek Discovery, Adventures in the 32nd Century, number 1. Star Trek The Mirror War, Captain LaForge, number 1. Buckhead, number 4. Let's see. Man or Black, Fire in the Blood, number 2. Everything Sucks, number 1 is a new one from Silver Sprocket. I'm going to write that down, because I don't know if we ordered that one. That seems interesting. Hekate's Will, number 3. Knights of the Dinner Table, 293. Myth and Legends, Quarterly, number 7. Usher of the Dead, number 1 from Blood Moon. Interesting. Agretsuko, Out of Office, number 3. Happy Hill, number 2. Wrong Earth, Trapped on Teen Planet, number 1. Robin Hood, Shadows of the Past, number 1. Take this list with a grain of salt from this point forward in particular. Born of Blood, number 1. What are these books? We'll just end it there. Yeah. So there you go. That's what's coming out this week. Looks like it's going to have a really solid week. It's potentially a really solid week. Hey, we got Fable in the house. Fable Station. Hope everybody checked out Blame Fable tonight, because Rockin' Robbie Live is the official after party for Blame Fable tonight. Chillmonger's interested in Black Panther number 4. I think a lot of people are interested to be like, are they doing something with this character we all freaked out about last month? In the making in the house. Hi, everybody. Station. First time being able to tune into the live stream due to work. Been digging Crimson Cage, Green Lantern, Action Comics, and Radiant Black and King of Spies. Station. In the making. Thank you for joining us. Fable says, Sundays are for philosophers. Station. Station, my brother. I love how you almost can't say the word savage without following it up with dragon. I swear you almost did it twice in a row. That's right. Everyone knows dragon is the savage one. Yeah, and I just did Image in the 90s last week with Savage Dragon. It's been on my brain. Twitch says, Newburn number 4 is my most anticipated. Hell yeah. Tyler says, Kayfabe has some good videos about Love and Rockets. Also, the documentary Combo Confidential covers it a lot. Yeah, I am very aware. I have one of the books. It's the first Jaime collection. Yeah. New Red Room book is also coming out this week. This is the one I'm looking forward to. I don't think that's till later. I didn't see it on the list, but I'll get my official list from Diamond tomorrow when I go back to work. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, Kayfabe does amazing stuff over at their YouTube channel. All right, we're about to take a quick break. When we come back, DC Sneak Peek. We're going to be talking about Ip Man, which is the newest movie. I've watched my Kung Fu journey, and then we're doing a little bit about Image in the 90s. We will be right back here on Rockin' Robbie Live.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me. slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. I tell you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Hey there, Dynamite fans. I am here to give you the quick sneak peek of what's coming on our Monday show this February 28th. We're going to have Spider-Gwen number 2, Vampirella Strikes number 4, the Blood Red Ultra Limited cover, Superman and Wonder Woman number 15 signed by Pete Tomasi, and we're going to have more commission cover art, maybe a statue, a mega kit, and so much more. Please join us this Monday, February 28th, here on The Experience at 6 p.m. I'll be there, so's Rex and John and Robbie. Hope to see you there.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Pop Culture Philosophers. In fact, welcome to Rockin Robbie Live. Here on the Sunday night, we have already had a great time tonight talking about comic books, movies, pop culture, and a whole lot more. We talked about our favorite comic books last week. We looked ahead at what's coming up in shops this week, but we're about to go in depth about DC because I've read some of them. We're going to get into the DC sneak peek. We're going to be talking about the next Kung Fu movie on my journey from my Sifu Bullseye Bob, that's Ip Man, and Image in the 90s. What are we doing? I don't know, but it involves the names Liefeld, Lee, and Keith. So think about that as we get going. You can find podcasts and more over at popculturephilosophers.com. Plus, don't forget, if you're on patreon.com/PCP supporting the channel at the $5 level a month or above, you have access to the unedited video recording of the new episode of the podcast when it returns, which is still yet to be edited down into an audio form available to everybody, but that will happen in the next few weeks. I do want to say, though, you should follow Pop Culture Philosopher on Facebook and Instagram if you feel so inclined to do so. If you're on Facebook, join the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can support us over at patreon.com/PCP, like I said before, or with the super chat tonight, $20 more to make the Milestone Compendium dream come true, and you never know what's going to happen. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at the Rockin Robbie, and coming up here on the channel, let me find the buttons. Tomorrow morning, join us for Akira on Comics Revisited. Me, Brian, Brooks, and Manny had a really great conversation about Akira from Otomo. A fantastic book. Definitely something up there with Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns and Mouse as one of the most important pieces of graphic fiction ever done. And then tomorrow night for PCP Movie Night, we're going to be talking about all four Christopher Reeve's Superman films. Superman, the movie, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4. And then Dylan's Horror Show kicks off March Madness this upcoming Saturday night as we dive into The Entity. Absolutely going to be a great week here at Pop Culture Philosophers, at Dylan's Horror Show, over at The Experience, and all the other associated channels. How is everybody doing? This show, of course, is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns. Get them in right now. Yeah, I think Get Red Room got delayed till mid-March. In fact, I think it might actually come out the same day that Hulk Grand Design does, maybe. Which I'm really freaking excited for. Really excited for. Hey, we got the artist formerly known as Jesse Say What in the house. Billy says, anyone else reading Cloaked by Dark Horse Comics? Read the first issue, thought it was okay, but I didn't continue on after that. Lars says, after having read the whole run of Undiscovered Country, I am sure I will remember at least one of the protagonist's names soon. Yeah, that's one of my problems with that book too. Like the concept, like trying to figure out what's right next around that corner, don't care about anybody. Noir Wolf says, this music always gets me. Station, I like the Cat Jam too. PCP Cat Jam. That's what we're calling it. Yeah, Newburn has been too good. I've been trying to order fewer books, but thought I'd take a look because Newburn was Chip, and this dude looked like a new Brubaker. Digging it. He is kind of like a new Brubaker almost in a way, right? Working with the Phillips, doing crime noir, writing Batman, writing Daredevil. He is kind of the new Brubaker. Former artist, writer. You know, I was really excited because I have talked about Lowlife multiple times. Kayfabe released a video like a week ago, and I thought nobody else even knew that Ed Brubaker was an artist and he was an indie dude in the early days. Like, I have that book. I love it. I'll have to bring it out for show and tell. I forgot to grab my Amityvilles. Sure did. Sliced my finger while making dinner tonight. Rookie mistake. Yeah, that sucks, bro. Hope it feels better. Zdarsky is going to need to send me some books to offset some of the cost if he's going to keep putting out stuff like this. KR says, speaking of Image in the 90s, anything going on with Wildcats? I was so hyped during that Grifter issue 5 of Batman Urban Legends. Yeah, nothing yet. Nothing yet at all. Twitch says, Zdarsky has Daredevil, Stillwater, Newburn, and now Batman. Shall we pencil him in for an Eisner? Yeah, coming soon. Didn't he? He won an Eisner before, didn't he? A couple years ago? 2-3 years ago? He won an Eisner for something. I hope the new Spider-Man relaunch gets rid of the stupid, pointless point issues. Yeah, I agree, Joe. I think that's a really dumb thing. I hope so. Any chance Chip might do a Batman Daredevil team-up comic? No, not at all. I don't think Marvel and DC are going to work together. They can only work together to agree to put out 7,000 copies of the Justice League Avengers crossover. So yeah. Do you read Sutter Kane? No, but my buddy Sam Neil does. Think he won an Eisner for Sex Criminals with Fraction. All right, there you go. I never read Sex Criminals. Did it ever finish? I'm still trying to finish that one. He's really just focused in on his writing. You know what I'm saying? Robbie's a busy man. We're all busy people. Just stay busy doing what you want to do, right? That's what I'm saying. Oh, America, the beautiful land of the free. We close ourselves off. How could it be? We shut down the borders from sea to shining sea. It's an undiscovered country. I even wrote a damn song for it. All right, it's time to go into the future and give you a little bit of a peek at my thoughts on the DC Comics that come out this week that I read. It's time for the DC Comics sneak peek. First up, War for Earth 3, number 1. Now, we saw Trial of the Amazons on that list. I'm fairly certain that's not out. And hopefully, I didn't just miss it. Miss a whole giant stack of comics. Anyway, War for Earth 3, number 1 of 2. This is going to be a crossover. It goes from here to Suicide Squad, which also has an issue out this week. I did not pick that one up. I'll get to that. So this is going to be a crossover from issue 1 of this into Suicide Squad, into not Teen Titans. It's into Suicide Squad. It's into Flash. There's another book that it's a part of. But whatever. I thought it was Teen Titans, but I guess did that just end? Suicide Squad, Flash, and something. Oh no, I'm just wasting time. Anyway, and then there's another final issue of this. I liked it. It wasn't that bad. It's spinning out of recent events in Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller is trying to invade Earth 3 and try to come up with some kind of deal with Ultraman and all this kind of shit. I dropped Suicide Squad. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't keeping me completely compelled. But this was an okay issue. Don't expect much out of it, but I did kind of like it. It's Suicide Squad, Waller's version, going into Earth 3, trying to take him down, and then Rick Flag has his version of the Suicide Squad, and they've been kind of rebelling. So it doesn't seem like I've missed too much in the few issues that I've dropped, but it did make me kind of bummed that I didn't pick up the new issue of Suicide Squad, because I did kind of like this, and I want to see where it goes. So I'll definitely be reading that in time for the weekly review on Tuesday night. Then Monkey Prince issue number 2. I'm still liking it, I guess, enough. It's a decent new character, a fun story, definitely for younger readers, and I think that's great to have a book geared towards them. I think it, personally for me, anchors itself too much into Gotham and too much into the Bat family-centric characters. I would like to see this more stand on its own and just give us a good origin tale without having to tie Damian Wayne into it so much, but aside from that, it's decent and it's fun. And it's something light for younger readers. Then we got One Star Squadron, issue number 4. I like this book. When Mark Russell comes in, he's got Steve Lieber here. When he comes in to do a humorous, satirical kind of thing, this is kind of like The Office, but maybe a little bit more scathing of a criticism on corporate culture in particular, but using superheroes like Red Tornado and Power Girl, and it's totally not in continuity. It's just some kind of absurd, silly thing sitting on its own that I absolutely have a lot of fun with. So One Star Squadron, I'm still enjoying it. Then we got Detective Comics 1055. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging this Arkham Tower story whatsoever. I'm keeping reading it just because I like reading Batman books, I guess. There's a lot of them, but I like the backup story, but I just feel like this is wasted opportunities with this Arkham Tower story. It could have been cool if it was structured a little bit differently, but I'm not liking the way that it's being executed and thrown out there. Then we got Batman 121. This wraps up the whole Abyss storyline in a very satisfying way. I mean, it did a fine job. I don't think that this was a super, super strong Batman story. It was one of those Tynan's leaving, Williamson come in and do some stuff, right? So he's kind of playing on some threads still left dangling from Grant Morrison's time at Batman Incorporated and stuff like that, right? And so I really do appreciate looking back into that, making that a fact, making that be known. It's been an okay story. It's an okay kind of end, right? It ends at the end, like past the end of this. So that's a weird, anyway, that doesn't matter. And it has a setup for the next bit, which is going to be a crossover between this and Williamson's Deathstroke Inc. And if you've been reading Deathstroke, you know why. And that's what got me really excited was the end here. So when Molina's doing the artwork, it's great. When Hanen's doing the artwork, it's great. But yeah, artistically, it's fine. It was all right. It was an okay Batman story. This feels kind of thrown together. Then we got Batman Killing Time, issue number 1. This is debuting this week. It's a 6-issue series from Tom King. So Tom King, sometimes he stretches his stories out too far in a 12-issue series. So we give him 8. Sometimes he stretches that too far. Can he stretch out a 6-issue series too far? So what is this? This is something set up to capitalize on the new Batman movie coming out this week. Because the main villains here are Riddler, Catwoman, and Penguin, and some Killer Croc. They're pulling a heist. They're robbing a vault. That's the whole issue. The whole issue is them doing that. Tom King's doing something interesting structurally with the story where it's kind of going non-linearly to fill in certain gaps and going back and forth, and it's fine the way it's paced. However, the dialogue's fine. The narration throws me off because the narration is literally telling you and explaining to you what you can clearly visually see because David Marquez is a master storyteller and you don't need the excessive narration. Not that it's overly excessive. It's not. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily overly verbose, okay? But I will say that it's unnecessary. Like some of that could be edited out because like I said, David Marquez is an amazing storyteller and Tom King's kind of pulling a Stan Lee, and on a lot of panels is literally telling you what you can clearly see. That being said, it's a decent setup, but just not enough happened, but it could have been a little bit more dynamic for me. Then we got Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 5. This was a wowzer-ass issue, right? So issues 1, 2, and 3, very solid, continuing to build momentum. Then we had issue number 4, different writer coming in, telling a little bit of a history lesson about this high fantasy iteration of the DC universe. And now we have this one, right? So you got some Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman, and Poison Ivy action, and that's some really cool stuff. We got Putri back here on the artwork, and there are some moments in this book that had my jaw drop to the floor. It was very exciting, visually, very exciting, story-wise. I liked it. I'm liking the pace of this. I'm enjoying it. Dark Knights of Steel, that book was fire. Then we got Justice League Incarnate, issue number 5 of 5. This is the final issue here, setting up the threat for Justice League number 75. So if you're interested in Justice League 75, the death of the Justice League, it gets set up here. This is the continuation of what Josh Williamson has been building up to in his Infinite Frontier series into this series. Darkseid, the crack in the multiverse, Justice League Incarnate, they're all collapsing. They're finding out about the threat of the Great Darkness, the darkness that's behind the Great Darkness saga. Darkseid wants it. Everybody wants a piece of it, but this is going to erupt into the next Crisis level event, which is coming this summer from DC Dark Crisis. It's hard to get myself as excited for it as I have historically with Crisis events. I was all in on 0 Hour. I was all in on Convergence. I was all in on Infinite Crisis. I was all in on Final Crisis. I was all in on Flashpoint. I was all in on the metal events. This one, maybe I'm getting a little Crisis jaded. Maybe it's about time, but I am still excited, and I thought this was a decent enough kind of wrap up to that series and a setup. This is mostly a bridge type series. Then we got Arkham City, The Order of the World, issue number 6. This is the final issue of this series by Dan Waters. Danny Dave Stewart and Aditya Bidikar. Freaking love it. This is masterful level Vertigo type craft with DC characters, dealing with some more like C, D-list Arkham villains. A-Day destroyed Arkham Asylum. Some of those inmates went out. One doctor's trying to get them all back together, but it became this spiral of madness, and I love and adore the way that this ends. Truly psychological horror thriller kind of idea. The artwork is great, stunning, shocking. Absolutely love this book. Love the ending. Completely sold on that. If they put a hardcover out, I'm buying it. And then, yes, celebrations. We have the return of The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 7, kicking off the second half of this series, and I loved it. Artwork was great. There were moments where it felt not as clean, but I feel like what we know about where we're at in the story, basically Walter's hit the reset button. So things are getting a little unclear. So we got this new iteration. This reset button's been hit. How does that affect things? But there's also some really interesting and deep character work done here and some explorations. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Didn't skip a beat. Fan-frickin-tastic. What's my favorite DC book of the week? It is really tough. War for Earth 3, dumb but fun. Monkey Prince, really great for young readers. One Star Squadron, great, absurd, satirical humor. Detective Comics, not good. Batman, okay. Batman Killing Time, great artwork. Story gets in the way sometimes. Dark Knights of Steel, must buy. Justice League Incarnate, okay. Arkham City, glorious ending. Nice House on the Lake, amazing continuation. My favorite DC book of the week. Arkham City, The Order of the World number 6, but it's very close between it, Nice House on the Lake, and Dark Knights of Steel. Those books are amazing, and that was your DC sneak peek. All right. See, Steve's in the house. What's up, Steve? I just finished Ozark Season 3, and holy crap, haven't ever watched that show. Is it good? Should I check it out? Twitch says, as a digital reader, I found the point issues aren't so bad. Talking about Amazing Spider-Man, it keeps tie-in comics together with the run as opposed to getting its own listing. Albert said Trial of Amazons got pushed back to next week, okay? Twitch says, I didn't care about this arc. If not for the Zdarsky announcement, I would have dropped it. I understand what you're saying. I didn't really like this Abyss arc that much. Who doesn't love some Poison Ivy, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn action? Not quite what you're thinking of there, maybe. Especially Twitch. Twitch says, I am not okay with that Nice House cover. We have mice at my work every now and then, and every time one shows itself, I jump through the ceiling. Hell yeah, man. I can dig on that. So that was the DC sneak peek. Some good, decent books from DC this week, I would say. If you notice behind me, I got some of my Bueller swag here. That's my Professor Hulk figure, if you want to call it that. Right there, Del Keown inspired, I would say. And Fox and Mulder. Those all came from Bueller. Kirby's in the house. Station, how are you doing? That's a new comic I just picked up, the Mr. T and the T-Force number 1. Still bagged, but it got a great cover by Neil Adams. It's not show and tell time yet, but let's show that off. Look at that Neil Adams Mr. T cover. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. BJ says, Del Keown drew the best Hulk. I really like Sal Buscema a lot. I like his Hulk. I like Ron Garney's Hulk. From like the Volume 2 relaunch, I guess you could call it, with John Byrne doing the writing. Eric Larson eventually took that over. I really like his Hulk. I like Adam Kubert's Hulk. I remember that from the 90s. He had a little run on Hulk I liked a lot. Of course, Kirby. Yeah, some good Hulk artists out there. Gary Frank. Dale Keown, though, one of the top dogs. Hey, Ryan Otley's a really good Hulk artist, too. And I'm starting to get more into that book because I'm starting to just, like, let go and just try to read it like I would, I don't know, like a Rob Liefeld comic or some shit. Yeah, and Liam Sharp, man. I gotta hunt down his run. I want to get the entire Peter David Hulk run. I've been trying to focus on some of the bigger pieces right now, and then I'm going to go into it. Yeah, the Tim Sale Hulk from Hulk Gray in particular, really cool stuff. I really love Tim Sale's artwork, especially his Hulk. DC has become a silly, absurd thing sitting on its own with every story, says Billy. Herb Trimpe is the classic Hulk. There you go. Raphael, too. Don't forget Herb Trimpe. You're right. Can't forget. I remember reading his stuff on Fantastic Four Unlimited and hating it in the 90s. They were inking him, and he was adapting a very Liefeld-inspired kind of style. But then I started like really, really getting into it. But yeah, obviously his style from the 70s. Now, the only 70s Hulk books I've read have been 180, 181, and 182. And we did that for Marvel in the 70s. The first and only bit we've done so far for Marvel in the 70s. But we'll eventually do more, for sure. William says, I like Byrne, Deodato, Trimpe, and Byrne, Deodato, and Trimpe Hulk. Hell yeah. Yeah, we don't want to forget that. All right, it's time for a movie review. So, my Sifu, Bullseye Bob, has been leading me through Kung Fu movies, Hong Kong cinema. I've been going through them each week. Last week, we covered Master of the Flying Guillotine. Today, he sent me on a movie that I have heard so many good things about, but have never watched. A Donnie Yen movie. And now, in fact, now that I've seen it, I'll say a Donnie Yen classic. We're talking about Ip Man. So I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Ip Man, right? Now, this is a 2018 or 2008 movie that I absolutely freaking loved. I thought it was great, right? I watched the Cantonese version with the subtitles. I thought it was great. It was directed by Wilson Yip, written by Edward Wong, Chan Tai Lee. It focuses on Ip Man. It's the first in a series that's been done, apparently. And so this is the dude who was Bruce Lee's master. This is the teacher of Bruce Lee, right? And so it's set back in the 30s and the 40s during World War II and the Japanese occupation of China. And what's the village that it takes place in? Foshan. So Foshan is known for its martial arts, and Donnie Yen plays Ip Man, who is one of these martial artists. Hey, there's Bullseye Bob right there. You arrived at the perfect time, bruh. You felt the spirit move you, didn't you? The spirit of this movie, which I think is rather strong. So he plays Ip Man, who's this dude living in Foshan or something like that. And it's a hub of martial arts schools, right? And first of all, Donnie Yen plays this character brilliant. He is a stoic character that I just immediately found myself into. And he's got a nice family, but it seems like all he really wants to do, and he's leading like a life of leisure. All he wants to do is just kind of like have people come and like spar with him, and just he kind of gets a kick out of it, right? But his family is something that's kind of sliding away. So his wife is thinking that he's kind of neglecting his kid, but they're leading this life of luxury, right? He's able to do that, but the lady who plays his wife is absolutely freaking amazing. She is a fantastic performer in this movie as well. So then you got this dude who reminds me of Bones from the new Star Trek movies. What is that? Keith Urban it's Keith Urban or whatever. He reminds me of Keith Urban, right? He shows up in the city. He's like, hey, y'all are known for martial arts schools. I want to set my own up. So I want to like throw down. And he starts kicking everybody's ass. And then Ip Man has to show up and kick his ass, right? And that was a really great scene because this dude pulls out a giant freaking sword, right? And Ip Man's like got like this like plant and he's just beating him with this stick. And it's so freaking awesome. And his style is Wing Chun, right? Absolutely freaking amazing, right? Really great fight choreography. In this, one of the best paced fighting movies I've seen yet on this Kung Fu journey. All right. So it sets up this world that Ip Man lives in this village, in the city, and these characters. Then it talks about the dark times when the Japanese forces came in and they occupied. They kick him out of his house. They make it a headquarters. He's now living a life of poverty. Him and his wife and his kid. And there's a moment where I swear to God, I thought his wife was about to die because he's like feeding her in bed. And Keith Urban, Carl Urban, my bad. That's funny. I always get those two mixed up, just by names though, just by names. But yeah, he looks like a Carl Urban kind of dude. Anyway, so they're barely, they're struggling. They're barely getting by. And there was a moment where he's like feeding her in bed and I thought she was about to die and I was about to lose my shit, man. I was like, this movie's you can't break me emotionally. Come on. He winds up going to work for this coal thing. There's this whole general doing these fights. We'll get to that in a minute, but he's got a friend that he loaned money to start this cotton mill. And he goes to this cotton mill and he winds up trying to work there, but he has to protect them from guess who? This asshat is back and they have this fight. So he teaches the entire like cotton mill where all the workers to like do a little bit of kung fu, a little bit of this, what is it? Wing Chun or Wing Chun. Yeah. And some really great stuff there. But then the whole thing with the general, this is a Japanese general coming in and basically he's setting up these tournaments where he's bringing in dudes and they have to volunteer to fight. If they win, they get a bag of like a paltry ass bag of rice, right? And one of Ip Man's friends was killed by this dude, right? And so this dude, Ip Man, shows up and he fucking takes out like half of the dudes. And it ultimately leads to a fight between this Japanese general and Ip Man at the end. There's a lot of stuff in between, other characters that have solid stories, including the interpreter for this general, the translator. He has a very layered story. Some tragic moments of tragic, moments of tragedy, moments of comedy, all very well handled together. It never felt tonally dissonant or anything like that. And this last fight was fucking baller. Each fight has its own distinct vision and scene. And then at the end, he just beats the shit out of this dude. He gets shot because General told his number one dude, hey, if he beats me, shoot him. So he gets shot, but he's just wounded. He gets scurried away and he goes off with his wife. And I guess that leads us into the next movie. This movie was freaking brilliant. It was great. The music was top notch. The acting was really great. There's a couple scenes that get a little bit melodramatic, but it didn't really pull me out of anything. Donnie Yen is brilliant in this movie. The fighting is brilliant. I love this stoic philosophy that's come through and this acceptance of what's going on. It's visually stunning. The production design is amazing. And when you see this village in the first act of the movie, how prosperous, how luxurious it seems, and then you see it juxtapositioned against the later part of the film where they're occupied by Japan and there's all kinds of death and destruction and poverty, and then there's this will to do what you gotta do. And each fight scene has its own distinct identity. I freaking love this movie. This is one of the best ones I've seen. I'm giving it a 5 yardings. Five you digs. I was really going to give it 4.5 because it does have some melodramatic moments, okay? But as I was discussing this movie, freaking amazing. 5 you digs for me. I love this movie. This movie was inspiring to me. This movie made me feel. This movie got me excited. It made me laugh. It didn't make me cry, but it damn near made me want to cry. I was getting emotional in certain bits because I don't know this dude's story, but like I straight up thought I was like, they're going to kill his kid or his wife at some point in this fucking movie and I ain't going to be able to handle it. It was a triumph for the fucking human spirit. And I always knew mentally about the Japanese occupation of China during World War II and all that kind of shit. But what I'm loving about these Kung Fu movies, bruh, is seeing this history from a different perspective than what I'm taught. And that's something that's really exciting to me. So I really digged into this movie. I thought it was the best performance I've ever seen from Donnie Yen, ever. I was really excited because I've heard that Donnie Yen's dope, and I've seen him in things in which he's dope. But like Iron Monkey was kind of like, I mean, I liked it, but it was kind of a letdown for me. This one exceeded all of my expectations. I've heard a lot about this movie. So having heard a lot about this movie, knowing that there's like, 4 of these fucking movies or some shit, maybe more, I don't know. But like 100%, like I thought it was just going to be like, oh, it might be like a, some just big action fest or some shit. But no, this layered fucking, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. 5 you digs. That was great. That was freaking really, really, really great. All right, so let's see what's going on. Figure Drawing says, ironically, Wing Chun is generally best suited for big guys, not small. There you go. And Dominique correcting me about Carl Urban. Hell yeah. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Thank you so much. HMJ says, Ip Man 4, the finale had me tearing up because I love the series so much. Oh yeah, and they do the little bit at the end where they talk about his most famous disciple was Bruce Lee, so yeah, man. Bruh, I'm into this shit. Bob, thank you so much. Bob says, so glad you liked this one. The next one is the 1978 masterpiece, Drunken Master. So that's the next one, y'all. So be on the lookout for that. Bob says, 5 you digs. Wow. Bob says, 5 you digs is my score as well. Two Gun Pedro says, Ip Man, definitely 5 you digs. Bobby De Loghetto says, 5 you digs. Figure Drawing says, love these breakdowns. Well, thank you. KR says, might need a Hong Kong cinema kung fu movie tier list from you. Just follow Bullseye Bob over on Instagram. And 100% Kung Fu Friday, Samurai Saturday when he does it. Like, really great stuff. William says, watch and review Ip Man 2. Okay. One of them, he fights Mike Tyson. You're fucking kidding me. Are you serious? Hell yeah. Yeah, there are 4 of the movies. Okay. Figure Drawing says, definitely classy movie. Dare I call it inspired? Yeah, it was an inspirational movie. I really fucking liked it. Kirby says 5 you digs from me too. Yeah. If I gotta go 5. This was a ballin' ass movie, man. This is a ballin' ass. I love the shit out of it. I definitely need to watch all of them. I already got Action Fest figured out for this year, but there's a piece of me thinking, should we remove one of those franchise reviews and do Ip Man instead? I fucking loved it, though. I loved that movie. All right. Switching gears into comics. It's time for Image in the 90s. And today we're talking about Darker Image issue number 1. So this was a one-shot comic book that came out in 1993, basically after the first year of Image Comics and the giant, massive success in which it was. They decided to launch what you could call a second wave. We would eventually see certain books like Pit. We would see other books, but in particular, this next big wave that was promoted was The Max from Sam Keith. It was Death Blow from Jim Lee, and it was Blood Wolf from Rob Liefeld. So Darker Image was a one-shot comic book that introduced these 3 books that were eventually going to be released. So let's talk about this comic book by Sam Keith, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld. Some highs and some lows. Let's start with the highest of highs. That is 100% the Sam Keith introduction of the Max. I adore Sam Keith's work. I have never dived all the way into the Max, but I love his artwork. I've always been intrigued. I've always seen parts of it, and now I'm making it a mission to hunt down each and every damn issue of this and check it out. I loved that MTV show Thought it was great. So the artwork is great. The storytelling is great. You got this really brilliant color. Look at the composition on this page. I'm digging it. You basically see the Max. There's this giant dude. He's hiding from him, right? This giant dude, the design on that character, absolutely wonky, bonkers, cool, absurd. So he sees the Max, and we already see the Max as this massive character. Then we see this dude, and then we get a chase. Look at the storytelling ability here. Look at the tight borders on some panels, and then look at how that panel kind of fractures at the bottom there when the hammer smacks. Really great stuff. Max looks like he's about to get got by this hammer, and this is an interesting first look. The design immediately gets you, what is going on? This is weird and it's wonky, and then to make crazier matters crazier, he shows up, gets injected or poked by something from this cute chick in a leopard print bikini. And then all of a sudden, we're like in the real world. We're in a big city, and she's injecting him with something. And she says, he keeps bumping into my apartment. He's going to get me kicked out. What's going on? Who is this guy? What's his past? What's his whole story? We're definitely going to be finding out in the Max #1. Coming soon to Image in the 90s. Next up, we got the Blood Wolf story. Heads up, I've never read anything Blood Wolf. So this is my first Blood Wolf comic, and I'm going to tell you this. I liked it. I thought it was pretty solid. This is basically Rob Lowe doing Lobo. He's ripping off Lobo, doing his own thing with it, right? So you got this dude, Blood Wolf. He's on this giant space cycle. He's going to this place that once had 9 moons, a planet that had 9 moons. The Emperor promised each of his 9 sons a moon to rule, and now they've all fought each other, and they've destroyed all the moons but one. And his granddad or somebody, or his grandmom or something, was insulted by 2 of the Emperor's sons, so he's going to, just throw some revenge or whatever. And if you think that Rob doesn't know that we know that this is totally his version of Lobo, there's a Lobo right there. Lobo just walking by, passing Blood Wolf. Blood Wolf's on a mission of revenge. So he shows up. There's some really interesting bits here. First of all, with the artwork, I actually do like it. For Rob Liefeld, it's not some of his best stuff, but I really like the backgrounds. There's a grit. Whoever in Extreme Studios added these little textured little bits here and there in the background inking, I think is exceptional. I wouldn't necessarily credit that to Rob, but I don't know what actually happened here. But he seriously just blows this dude's freaking head off. Darker Image were meant to kind of take it up a little bit more hardcore. I don't know if you get much more hardcore than Spawn #5, but Rob Liefeld drawing a decapitation, that's pretty cool. So Blood Wolf on his mission of revenge. He's got a bunch of dudes come after him, including Cable. The straight up Cable, he just has a Y. He's got a Youngblood patch instead of the X-Force patch. But he's fighting with those dudes, and he eventually makes it to where he needs to go after just mowing down people. It's dynamic, it's kinetic, it's energetic, and it's kind of fun. This is Rob Liefeld having a lot of fun. Rob Liefeld. Did I say Rob Lowe? If I did, then I apologize. But Rob Liefeld doing a really solid job here, I think. Just having fun, poking fun at this ridiculous story. Then you find out that this space cycle is also a gun. Now, at this point, Rob Liefeld had totally 100% understood all the criticism that people had on him, including these giant, stupid-looking guns. Well, here's the biggest freaking one I've seen yet, and he blows these dudes away, turns them into skulls, looks at us, and laughs, right? So then he makes it to the dude, and as he's blowing these dudes away, he leaves a bomb there, and as he's leaving the planet, he blows up the whole fucking planet and laughs. So, yeah, 100%. Like Fable said, Blood Wolf was a Lobo parody. 100%. Then we get to Death Blow. Death Blow, to me, was the weakest story in this entire thing. It was rather boring. Now, at this point, it's pretty interesting. Now, artistically, it's interesting because this is, at this point, like we talked about with Shadowhawk #0, Rob Liefeld was trying to kind of experiment a little bit on this Frank Miller kind of vibe, right? The Sin City was coming out and all this kind of jam. So this is what Jim Lee's doing. This is Jim Lee doing his Jim Lee doing his Frank Miller. I like the use of like a monochromatic kind of tone here. That red really pops. But you get introduced to the idea that there's this soldier there and he's with an informant and They're going into the jungle somewhere. It's really terribly written. Brandon Choi was not a good writer, and that's what the problem with this book is. Artistically, it's cool, but it is so hard to get into because of the writing. But I love the colors. I love the artwork. This is Jim Lee kind of stretching with his style. Like I said, kind of aping a little bit on the whole Frank Miller Sin City kind of vibe. But like, that's a really cool splash page, and that's dope. And then it just loses you because it's just overly verbose, overly expositional, but still confusing. And so basically Deathblow's there. He's gone rogue because he's got cancer or something. Michael Cray does, right? That's Deathblow. And now Lynch is got to assemble this team led by this dude, this square-ass looking dude who's got to go and stop him. And that's really all you get is this setup, but I really do like the artwork. I think it's pretty solid. Interesting for Jim Lee. I have never read any of the Jim Lee Deathblow stuff. First time I read Deathblow was like Brian Azzarello stuff. So definitely interested in checking it out, but that one was pretty freaking boring. So overall, the book I would give a 4 you digs because I think it introduces 3 interesting concepts, at least visually. I like the Blood Wolf story. I don't really like the Deathblow story, but I like the art. But the Max, totally slam bang. You know what I'm saying? Totally slam bang fantastic. Anyway, here's my copy of it. And mine I got the one with the Max card because there were 3 different cards you can get in these. But I liked it. I liked going through it. The Max stuff is great. The texture that Jesus, I'm all over the place with the names. The texture that Sam Keith provides with his pen work is stunning and amazing to me. It's the briefest of introductions, but to me, it's so visually striking that it definitely wins the top notch. And obviously, that's the one that actually seemed to go somewhere. Now, this Rob Liefeld story, which is totally his Lobo, I liked. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I like this. I like the cheeky nature of it. It's Rob Liefeld kind of poking fun at himself and looking at his critics and kind of winking at them. Then you got this ad right there for Deathblow, or for Bloodshot Youngblood. Young Bloodshot, we should say. Now, like I said, though, the Deathblow stuff, really boring, really bad. And but artistically, I'm really interested in what's going on there. Now, is there an inker credited? No. So it's just Jim Lee doing story and art on that, and Joe Chiodo doing the colors. Steve Olaf colored all the other ones. And of course, Bill Mesner-Loebs was doing the dialogue on the Max story, but Rob Liefeld credited as the sole writer on this ridiculous Blood Wolf story that I liked. And we got an ad on the back there for Jay Lee's Wildcats trilogy. Jay Lee just got announced to be a guest at Heroes Con. Very excited for that. I like the Jim Lee artwork, but that story is just really hard to get through. It makes Wildcats a difficult reread. But altogether, I liked it, and I think that for what it was trying to do, 4 you dig. So what do you think out there about Darker Image #1? And that was tonight's presentation of Image in the 90s. All right. Mike says, never really got into the Max. Bob says, the Max was definitely the best of those 3 books. Apparently I said Rob Loeb, so that was fun. It's always fun when you do something like that. Everybody talking about Drunken Master being dope. I'm very excited to check it out. Bob says, Sammo Hung was the choreographer of IP. Wing Chun was developed by a nun about 400 years ago. The big 3 that are Wing Chun practitioners are Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Ying Bao. Okay. Dominique says, bought every Image book when they first came out, dropped them all, one by one, until all that was left was Max, followed it until the end. Years later, returned to Savage Dragon. Yeah, Deathblow is a little bit of a Punisher type thing, right? Twitch says, got a bunch of Deathblow from my brother's collection. I just picked up in issue #1. I really like the art. So I'm just going to keep it as the Jim Lee mark that I am. It was supposed to be a 4-issue miniseries. What Darker Image was? That doesn't surprise me. They couldn't get these things together quite well back in those days. If you get a chance, check out the Max animated series. Yeah, I used to love watching that on MTV. I would love to revisit that sometime. I find that all these image books age pretty well. They are really fun to go back and read now. Absolutely, especially with the tinge of nostalgia. Joe's been with Spawn since it began. Fable says, I remember wanting that issue of Darker Image as a kid. I was excited to see Keith's work outside of the MCP work he was doing. Marvel Comics Presents. They have great stuff. Haven't read it in years, though. Yeah. Definitely worth a revisit. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about X-Men, the animated series. We're going to be doing top 5 movies of 1976, show and tell, and more here on Rockin' Robbie Live.
Hey there, Dynamite fans. I am here to give you the quick sneak peek of what's coming on our Monday show this February 28th. We're going to have Spider-Gwen number 2, Vampirella Strikes number 4, the Blood Red Ultra Limited cover, Superman and Wonder Woman number 15 signed by Pete Tomasi, and we're going to have more commission cover art, maybe a statue, a mega kit, and so much more. Please join us this Monday, February 28th, here on The Experience at 6 p.m. I'll be there, so is Rex and John and Robbie. Hope to see you there.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rockin Robbie Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers. We've had a great show already tonight. We talked about Ip Man. We talked about Image in the 90s, Darker Image #1, introducing the Max, Deathblow, and Bloodwolf to the Image verse. DC sneak peek, some really great books from DC this week. We talked about our favorite comic books of last week. Lots of great conversation to be had. The show is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns. Get them in. What do you want to talk about tonight? Here in the final act, if you will, of Rockin Robbie Live for February 27th, 2022. Yeah. Who's excited for Batman? I want to see some, throw out a station if you're excited for Batman. You're going to go watch it. I believe that I'm going to be joining Verno for a live stream this Friday, amongst others, to do a live movie review of Batman. The Batman, my bad. Oh man, I'm missing the death blow. Fable's excited for Batman. I'm excited to check it out, 100%. Y'all, we had a great conversation last night over at Dylan's Horror Show talking about The Gate. It was a really fantastic time. Definitely check it out on the rewind if you haven't already. And check out the Blame Fable Tonight Show, which we are the official after party for. Always a great time there. KR is looking forward to Rogue Sun. Ryan Parrott has been killing it on Power Rangers. I agree. He's been doing a really good job there. Two Gun Pedro is excited for Batman. Kirby says I'm planning on checking it out. Hopefully I can make it on Friday. My plan is to go Friday afternoon. See what this 3-hour Batman movie's about. It may endanger the weekly pop culture wrap-up, but, you know, sacrifices have to be made. Evil Face Bad says, hell yeah, the Batman is on. Yeah. Yeah. Figure Drawing's excited for Batman. I'm excited. I hope it's good. You're hearing, we're hearing good things about it, so we shall see what happens. All right, but unlike Batman, there was another animated series, or I should say, like Batman, there was an animated series in the 90s, comic book based, that was pretty popular. It's called the X-Men, so it's time for your official annotation on X-Men animation. Tonight we're talking about Episode 7, Slave Island. This is the one that follows up from Cold Vengeance, the last episode, in which we had Gambit, Storm, and Jubilee investigating Genosha, which is allegedly welcoming mutants into their country, but in fact is turning them into slave labor. They're building a dam. One of the really cool things about this episode, because it's not one that I remember fondly, because I never really dug into the Genosha stuff that much, but I really like the cameos. There's North Star, there's Sunfire, there's more we're going to see. So the X-Men got these power inhibitor collars on them, preventing them from using their powers, but they can use their powers for work as long as they don't revolt. Well, that's what's going on. But Storm decides, you know what? When they turn off my power inhibitor, I'm just going to wail out and go to town, right? She's going to revolt. But it doesn't work out so well. The Sentinels show up, they shut her down, and that's pretty much over. And then they throw her into solitary confinement. And of course, Storm is claustrophobic, so yet again, we get that whole thing kind of hammered down our throats. Though she does kind of overcome it at the end, which I think is badass. Then we switch back to America, to New York, to the X-Mansion. Wolverine shows back up and says, hey, I'm back. All right, good. Nice to see. All right, so Jubilee and Gambit and Storm are still in captivity. Storm's in solitary, and Jubilee's trying to figure out what she can do. Some really great cameos here. You got Mystique. You got, I'm pretty sure that's Caliban, and then Richter. And then there's some right there. That's probably Warbird over Thunderbird, if I had to guess. And there's Avalanche as well. Jubilee starts trying to talk about how they need to break out. And there's Blob. And Blob has got one of the best voices in this whole X-Men animated series. But everybody's kind of shitting on the idea that they can revolt, because they're promised that when they're done building this dam, they'll be able to leave. Meanwhile, Cyclops can't get a hold of his team sent to Genosha. He's expressing concern. Xavier doesn't seem too concerned. He's more concerned with contacting Moira McTaggart. So that's something left dangling for a future day. Therefore, though, Cyclops decides that him, Jean, and I guess Wolverine, because now he's back, and Rogue, are going to go and try to investigate what happened to Storm, Gambit, and Jubilee in Genosha. Jubilee's trying to convince others to join her in revolt, but she's having a hard time doing it. They kind of get together one time, but they get just totally kind of stomped down. There's Feral right there, and definitely Raphael. That's why I think that's Warpath over Thunderbird, because there's a lot of X-Force people shown here. Turns out it's Trask, it's Guy Rich. There's also this dude called the Colonel, aka the leader, not the Hulk leader, and Cameron Hodge, right? And they're building the Master Mold. So this dam is powering the Master Mold, which is making Sentinels. So that's the first appearance of the Master Mold. And then when Jubilee does kind of start a revolt, it turns out she's betrayed by Gambit. Really harsh stuff, bruh. Turns out, though, it was all a ruse. Gambit, when he's being led away, is actually, the whole time, it was just plotting against the Genoshan agents. He breaks out, and as he's trying to escape, he's aided by a mysterious figure named Cable. He's there because he was a part of a mercenary group that worked for this Colonel leader dude, and he's trying to bring democracy to Genosha. So we know very little about him, but he does confront Remy here, and Remy asks him if he can help him, but instead he just gives him a key to the inhibitor collars. So therefore Gambit then is going to leave and try to free everybody. He frees Storm, he frees Jubilee, who's now in solitary confinement. There is Aurora, there is Domino right there. So the few more of the guest appearances that we get. Storm tries to use her storm powers to bring down the dam, but she's still kind of weak, but she does cause it to start crumbling. A big flood happens. She gets saved at the end because Rogue shows up, catches her from falling. They get into the Blackbird. They dip off. Cable shows up at the end, though, to confront a fleeing Colonel and Cameron Hodge, and they all get wiped away a flood from the dam. Pretty solid issue or episode of X-Men the Animated Series. This one was definitely focusing more on Gambit, and that was cool. Gambit was a popular character. I like the Storm work. It's very similar to some of the work they did with her. I believe that was Inner Magneto, maybe Deadly Reunions. But and Captive Heart. So they're doing some really good Storm work already. This was the first proper spotlight on Gambit, kind of his attitude, playing on the idea that you couldn't trust him. You didn't really know who he was. I like the Jubilee spotlight. I like that it's very light on Wolverine in this issue, or in this episode, because last episode was all Wolverine. But I liked it. I thought it was solid. On recollection, it's better than I remembered because I loved seeing all those cameos. I like the spotlight on Storm and some of the setup of things to come, including the Moira line where Xavier's trying to contact her. And then, of course, the whole bit with Cable showing up for the first time, and we're definitely going to see more of him. And then one more thing, at the end of the episode, they show back up to the mansion, and it's completely destroyed. And the next episode, the Unstoppable Juggernaut. And that's been this week's annotation on X-Men Animation. I would give that episode overall 4 you digs. So there you go. Your annotation on X-Men Animation. Bob says, I got my Batman tickets last week. Go on to the 3 p.m. showing on Thursday. Hell yeah, brother. 3 p.m. showing on Thursday, man. You're going to be one of the first. I think I'm going to my 3 p.m. on Friday. And then Verno is going to figure out what time he wants to do a stream, but everybody definitely needs to check that out. When that drops, I'll definitely let you know in the PCP Army, on our Instagram, all that jazz and more. Figure Drawing says, I hope the new series is worthy. Me too. Everything Comics says, I remember all the cameos were awesome back in the day in that episode. Yeah, that's some of the best parts, because they didn't get to do like justice to a lot of these characters. So it is cool, like in the Juggernaut episode, is that also the Colossus episode? Is it? Maybe it is. I think I think it is. But you didn't get, like, there was never really a good Nightcrawler episode that I remember, or Psylocke or anything like that, but these are characters that showed up here and there. So it was always cool to kind of see them. But yeah, Sunfire. I tried to write down every one that I could recognize. I got to find my notes for it, though. These aren't notes, but there's a little Venom I did one day. Super quick. Sometimes I do that. It's like, just draw a 30-second Venom. That's what I did. Nope, those are James Bond notes. Here they are. So, these are cameos that I remembered seeing in here. I wrote them down. Pyro, Mystique, Feral, Sunfire, Northstar, Avalanche, Warbird, The Blob, Caliban, Domino, Aurora, and Richter. And I didn't know if it was Richter or not, but I recently read the first appearance of Cable and New Mutants for Marvel in the 90s, and I recognized that green suit, and then he used his power, so I confirmed that it was Richter. Cool Venom gesture. Oh, thank you. That's ingrained in my head. It's probably just based on some fucking Mark Bagley shit. I mean, think Lethal Protector Volume 1, number 1, and you can see where it comes from. But yeah. I'm not much of an artist, but I like to dabble. X-Men had some really cool writing. The animation was of its time. Yeah, the animation was actually not as good, I think, for its time, especially compared to things like Batman, the animated series. The animation leaves something to be desired, but it does look comic booky, and it has those layered storytelling. Like Batman one and done stories, that's great. But what was cool about the X-Men was the layers of writing and the overall unfolding narrative and how they kind of built that up. I really like that. Big Herm says, X-Men segment's my new favorite. Bro, well, in honor of Herm, let's take a look at that animation one more time. I can't wait till we get to the Apocalypse episodes, y'all. Yes! Hell yeah. And I have plans on, when I'm done with season 1, clipping all those out and putting them in a video, like X-Men Series 1 Revisited, some shit like that. But anyway, all right, it's time to switch gears into movies. And tonight we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite movies of 1976. So think about it, because here are my top 5 favorite movies of 1976. This was a good year. At number 5, we're going with Carrie, based on the Stephen King novel, directed by Brian De Palma. Amazing movie. Sissy Spacek. It's an important movie. I think it's an important story. I really like it. I like the way it's filmed. I like the climatic part of this film. A lot of people remember this film. It's iconic, and I got to put it on my top 5 list. At number 4, I'm going The Man Who Fell to Earth. Nicholas, was it Roesch or whatever? Fantastic. One of my favorite sci-fi films of the 70s. David Bowie's debut as a film star. He plays an alien come to Earth to try to bring water to his planet, which is dying of drought, but he's going up against a lot of pettiness from humans. This movie is touching. I used to have the Criterion DVD set that came with the novel. I got rid of it one time, and now my girlfriend's got a DVD of it, but we're definitely planning on revisiting it soon together. At number 3, Rocky, the ultimate underdog story, a great sports movie, one of the best Sylvester Stallone movies. This movie just hits it all. Inspiring, great music, great scenes and sequences of the boxing. It makes it exciting. It makes it thrilling. This is a great movie, and I think a very bold ending, because anybody else would have had a different, happier ending. At number 2, Taxi Driver. Come on, y'all. I'm a mark for Martin Scorsese, and Taxi Driver, I think, is one of his best. This is the story of Robert De Niro playing a taxi driver. He's a Vietnam veteran, right? And he's exposed every day to just the seedy side of the city, and it just kind of starts corrupting him, and he just kind of falls apart, and it's like, this is like a Punisher origin story. A really freaking great movie. Some really amazing visuals going on too. And then at number 1, it's The Omen, from the Jerry Goldsmith score, which I find absolutely amazing, all the way down to the visuals and to the performances of people like Gregory Peck, for instance. Absolutely top freaking notch. This movie still gets me. It still freaks me out. Kids freak me out, especially Damien. Man, I am not alone in the PCP crew. Excitable we are, talking about how freaking awesome this movie. We covered it a long time ago on movie night, but we need to do it and unpack it one day soon for a proper movie night. So to recap, my top 5 favorite movies of 1976, but before we move forward, do I have my list? Some honorable mentions: Assault on Precinct 13, King Kong, and The Song Remains the Same. But number 5, I got Carrie. At number 4, I got The Man Who Fell to Earth. At number 3, Rocky. At number 2, Taxi Driver. And at number 1, The Omen. Right now, I want to know, what are your top 5 favorite movies of 1976? Pretty good year for film. We're getting to some really good times here. Really good times here. Mike says, I can't wait till you do this with the Spawn animated series. That would be a fun one to do. KR says, Carrie, good pick. Thank you. William says, 1976 films: The Town That Dreaded Sundown, The Omen, Carrie, King Kong, and Taxi Driver. Figure Drawing says, honorable at least: King Kong, Logan's Run, Taxi Driver. Two Gun Pedro says, in no particular order: The Omen, Carrie, King Kong, Rocky, and Master of the Flying Guillotine. Hey, I just watched that last week. Evil Face Bad says, The Outlaw Josie Wales for me. I've still never seen that movie. The Enforcer was out on this one too, but it's been so long since I've watched all the Dirty Harry movies, I couldn't remember if that was one of the ones I didn't like. There's one I really don't like. I think it's Sudden Impact, though. Maybe it's The Enforcer. One of them I really don't like. Deadpool is okay. Dirty Harry. Magnum Force. So I guess Enforcer's the third one, right? That might be the one I don't really like. What's the one with the chick from the other movies with him? Figure Drawing says, Carrie, definitely. The Outlaw Josie Wales, yes. 383 BNY says, sorry, Taxi Driver is fail. Fair enough. All right, we're about to move to show and tell. I got some really exciting stuff here tonight. And let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah, I've never seen The Outlaw Josie Wales. It's one that I've always intended to. Definitely need. Yeah, Deadpool does have Jim Carrey in it, Ed. You're right. All right, show and tell. Got some comic book collections here. First of all, picked up Volume 4 of the TMNT Ultimate Collection. This is the main gist of the story by Eastman and Laird. So this is going to be collected all in like 6 or 7 volumes or something. So I got Volume 4. I think 5 is out. But this one is 48 through 55, beginning the Shades of Grey and the City at War stories. So the big finales and all that stuff. This skips a lot of the fill-in issues is the wrong word, but when they got busy with the movie and the animated series, they couldn't do it as much. So a lot of other creators come in and kind of do their stamp, put their stamp on it, we should say. Then we got Black Hole. I picked this up because on my last Robbie's Reads, which those are going to be missing for a few weeks, but for my last Robbie's Reads, I did Like a Velvet Glove, Cast in Irons. I've been diving into Daniel Clowes, and I had a lot of comments on a video that not a lot of people watched, and I'm going to say it's one of the best comics ever, so you should check that out. But I got a lot of comments about Charles Byrne, so I looked it up, and I found out about Black Hole, so I picked this up, and I looked through it, and it looks freaking amazing. It looks awesome. I really, really love the inking. So I'm excited to check it out. Dive into that one day for Robbie's Reads. Add that to the backlog, right? picked up, my good man Mike got me this Eternian Goddess, hooked me up with this. I'm going to be opening this up at some point, but this is basically a Tila figure with green skin. And why I wanted to pick this up is because in the He-Man mini comics that came with the toys, this was the original sorceress. Basically, she's like shows up, she's mysterious, based on the designs of Tila. Like, they didn't have a story figured out yet. So it's like its own thing in those early days. So having this iteration of Tila as the Eternian Goddess, I really like that. And it scratches a very niche kind of love of mine from the Motu universe. I showed this off on Dylan's Horse Show last night, but I got the NECA American Werewolf in London. It's the werewolf. It's hard to see in there, but very excited to dig into that. These NECA figures for horror stuff in particular are amazing. All right, let's see here. Black Hole, yes, hell yeah. Black Hole is incredible, says Kirby. Yeah, I hear a lot of good stuff about it. Very excited to dive into it. KR has got a top 5. Number 5, Marathon Man. Good movie, Dustin Hoffman. Number 4, Carrie. Number 3, Killer Meteors. Number 2, Master of the Flying Guillotine. And number 1, Rocky. Really good one. Big Herm with Bad News Bears, King Kong, Taxi Driver, Carrie, and Rocky. Really great list. It's good year for a movie, is it not? Good year for a movie, is it not? All right, so I got a package in from our friend of the show, Ron Honow. I don't see him here. I was hoping he'd be here because I'm going to show off what he sent me, and it's amazing. First of all, I got this really cool card from him. Fans of the channel, hope you enjoy this beautiful, handmade, one-of-a-kind masterpiece, Station. Ron Honow. So the one-of-a-kind masterpiece, I think, is by this artist, Halana's Art and Commissions. I'll share the information right there. But before we get to this wonderful, one-of-a-kind masterpiece that he's talking about, we're going to show you some of the other stuff that he sent me. And I love every single bit of it. First of all, it's a pack of unopened 1992 Major League Baseball cards from the Score series. It's the Rookie Series 1 player cards. I love having unopened packs of shit from the 90s and stuff like that. So that's dope. Including this unopened pack of Simpsons cards. So, hell yeah. Speaking of cards, there is a Bill and Ted card right there from the Pro Set of the Bill and Ted statue in the future. If you can see it. Doing the station, so that's really freaking cool. Also, speaking of cards, look at this poster. Garbage Pail Kids. See, Series 2. Look at that poster. That's freaking awesome. I used to love Garbage Pail Kids. Sent me the Blu-ray of 300 Rise of an Empire. I think this is like the sequel or the prequel to 300, which I've never seen. So it's an unopened Blu-ray. So I guess Ron's saying, gotta watch it. All right. Got this book by Edgar Wallace, The Selinsky Master Criminal Murder of the Month. This is like this just looks like some paperback, pulp novels. Place your order now for number 4. Mysterious, so this is like crime fiction, kind of cool stuff. So definitely have to check that out. A $2 mystery for 25 cents. Really cool. I am not familiar with this at all. So I have to check it out. Look at that. That's dope. There's some figures and things. Got a Xenomorph figure in there. Seriously, thank you so much, Ron. This is all awesome. Got a little Skeletor, dude. I don't know what that's from, but that looks old, man. It's like a rubbery Skeletor. Pretty dope. Holding the power sword, by the way. Got a unopened Happy Meal toy, probably. A Happy Meal of Smurfs. Is that from the recent movie? hefty. Let's open it up. Yeah, that looks newer. That's probably from that movie that came out several years ago. But yeah, got a little Smurf lifting. Do you lift, bruh? The yellow bouncy ball. I like a good bouncy ball. And these dudes are from Small Soldiers, right? Is that not like some of the Small Soldiers Burger King toys? I think that's what that is. Is that not Small Soldiers Burger King toys? Yeah, it is, because it's Franken, whatever the fuck his name is. And that dude, was that Jim Brown? Bruh. That's fucking awesome. I didn't even notice what that was. And there's a t-shirt, which I in no way will fit in. But I love it regardless. Look at this. Vintage Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey shirt. Fuck yeah, y'all. That's dope as shit. That's fucking... It smells really good. What's your laundry detergent? It smells delicious. All right, now it's time for that one-of-a-kind masterpiece of art. I don't know the right terms, but this is something that's like knitted or crocheted or whatever, but it's a fucking banner. A wall scroll, if you will, of the Pop Culture Philosophers logo. Look at that. Freaking handcrafted. Amazing. Fucking amazing. Look at that. You know where that's going? Right up there where that death metal poster is. Freaking awesome. Ron, thank y'all so much. Station. Y'all are the best. Look at that. Handcrafted thick. Look, it's got these danglies and our colors. Hell yeah. That's dope as shit. Ron, thank you so much. I'm going to have to reach out to him since he wasn't here. That thing's amazing. Thank you so much for the package, all the cool shit, the PCP banner, the movie and the book, the trading cards, the posters. Bruh, this is awesome. And one more time, one more again. This art, I believe, was made by Arts by Halana. There's the Instagram and Facebook information right there. I want y'all to check that out because this was absolutely amazing. And Ron, thank you, buddy. Really do appreciate it. Gotten a lot of love from y'all lately. So, really, y'all just... I am unworthy. Let's just say that. That's pretty dope. Let me show that one more again. Look at this. Look at that. I want to walk through that. Like how... Oh, hello, everybody. Today we're talking about music and pop culture. I need a wig of these colors now. That's so freaking dope. This has been hanging in my hallway, by the way, all week long. I cannot wait to show that off. I've been holding it to do it on Rockin Robbie Live. So, thank you so much, buddy. Y'all are the best. All of y'all. Thank you. All right. Time for the final 9. And in fact, it's the final 9 ever. Because we're done with the bit. No more final 9, first 6, final 9. Bob, I don't know, you weren't here, but you're here now, so thank you, everybody. That banner is freaking amazing. That is super cool. But Bueller has officially asked me to carry on the legacy of the first 5 and the final 5. So after tonight, it goes from first 6 and final 9 to the first 5 and the final 5. Because I'm carrying and continuing on the legacy. But tonight, for the final 9, we're going through my Blu-ray collection. We're going to continue to go through the ends. Here we got New York Ripper. Got a lenticular cover on that one. This is a Lucio Fulci movie. 3-disc edition. Because that's how I like to swing. That's a really nice lenticular cover. If you lenticular know what I'm saying. Night of the Comet. In fact, these next few movies, we did all 3 of them the night of the horror show. Over at Dylan's Horror Show with Bueller. So you definitely need to check that out. But Night of the Comet, I love that movie. Also, love Night of the Creeps. Got it with the slip. Oh, I've never reversed that. I'm going to officially reverse this because the best thing about having the slip is that you get to have the new art on the slip and you get to do the reversible art of the original. So you get to have the best of both worlds. That's one of the reasons why we obsess over... Thank God that didn't turn off the show or nothing. But that's why we like to weird stretch over slips, so that we can have the new art and the classic art. Love Night of the Creeps. Then, one of my favorites, Night of the Demons, starring our girl Linnea Quigley. Seriously, great movie. Also starring Amelia Kincaid. I met both of them this year. Dream come true. So, if you are interested in hearing more of our thoughts and great conversation about Night of the Comet, Night of the Creeps, and Night of the Demons, check out the episode of Dylan's Horror Show called Night of the Horror Show. We do all three of those movies in review with Bueller from Comics with Bueller. Then we got Night of the Living Dead. I got the Criterion version. Love that cover. Love this transfer, this edition. The Nightmare Before Christmas with the slip. Kind of a little bit of a foil cover there too. There's my Nightmare on Elm Street collection. They're all cased together, so they're not individually cased, but this is all 7 of those films. Yeah, it does not have the remake. I used to have the remake, but I got rid of it. We talked about Linnea Quigley already. There she is in Nightmare Sisters. Love this movie. This is a Vinegar Syndrome movie. Nobody does slips and releases like them. You got a slip case that's matted and embossed, and it's got the nerdy versions of them and the succubus versions of them. And then there's the inside cover. If you've never seen Nightmare Sisters, I highly recommend it. We covered it on Linnea Quigley Appreciation Month in October. And then there is my copy of No Country for Old Men. This copy was found out near the dumpster at my apartment complex in the rain. But it still works just fine. This was a movie I had in my collection and somehow lost. And then we found it one day. This is not, I don't think, my copy, but it was found outside in the rain. I love that movie. One of my favorite neo-westerns. So there's the final 9. And that's the show. Thank you all so much. Two Gun says, Robbie, you are worthy. Two Gun sent me a big batch of Wizard magazines that I needed, and I am just freaking blown away by that and all the awesomeness. Y'all are the best audience ever. Seriously. PCP Army's the best army. Kirby says, New York Ripper is wild. I love Night of the Comet so much. I agree. Figure Drawing says, Night of the Creeps, dope. Absolutely. Night of the Creeps classic. Thrill me, says Pete. All right. Do remember to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we're dropping the newest episode of Comics Revisited. It's a good hour-and-a-half conversation with me, Brian, Brooks, and Manny talking about the Akira graphic novel series, the manga, the comic book by Katsuhiro Otomo. Absolutely freaking amazing. This book is one of the absolute best, most masterful works in comic book history. Definitely check that out tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. And then join us for PCP Movie Night at 8 p.m. Central Time, where we're talking about Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the 70s and 80s, and Dylan's Horror Show kicking off March Madness on Saturday night with a look at The Entity. Y'all, lots of good stuff. And like Twitch says, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you all for being a part of tonight's show. We're dipping out. Y'all the best. Don't forget, love your neighbor, treat your neighbor as yourself, fuck everybody else for the hell of it. We're dipping out. What am I supposed to say? Thanks for rocking with the station. Pop, pop, boom!
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
So Brian had asked me what Amityville horror movies I had. Excuse me. So here they are. I got the trilogy from Scream Factory. So this has the first one, the second one, and the third one. So I got those in the slip. And those are the ones that I would say matter, really. But I also do have, from Vinegar Syndrome, The Evil Escapes. I love these covers, by the way. It's About Time. A New Generation. And Dollhouse. So there's one of those from this era that they didn't do, that I don't have. And I haven't seen some of these since like VHS days. But that is the collection right there that I have of Amityville horror. All right, I talked about how Cartoonist Kayfabe just did a video on Ed Brubaker's Low Life, and I just wanted to show off my copy of it. I've had this for years and years, since it first came out back in the day from Top Shelf. This was going to be something I was going to do in Robbie's Reads. I'm still planning on doing it, but since Cartoonist Kayfabe just did it, it's going to lower itself into the... there's some sex on that page. It's going to lower itself onto the thing. But yeah, it's Ed Brubaker's actually writing and drawing this. So really interesting book if you've never seen it. This is called A Complete Low Life, because it's all the Low Life comics combined together. And hopefully Herm's still here, because there's some of Kelly Thompson's indie work. Heart in a Box. I bought this directly from her, and it's autographed by her, Kelly Thompson. Heart in a box. So, there you go. All right, and we'll real quick before we get out of here, because I got to go watch Superman 4, because tomorrow night, Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4 talked about. You ready for the panel? Me, Brooks, Jelani, Brian, Joe Corallo, and Ibrahim Mustafa. It's going to be a great show, super fun, and I got to go watch Superman 4 right now. But first, we're going to open up this American Werewolf in London NECA figure and take a look at it. Probably going to be best to open it up. All right. Let me get the trusty multi-tool. I wasn't going to get this. And then, because the price is a little bit higher than your typical NECA. But then I saw the size of it in the package, and I had to. You know, and I got the Jason from New Blood, which is the first Kane Hodder Jason, which is my favorite iteration of Jason. And I still haven't opened that, but we got to open this one up. So there it is, baby. Got mouth open, mouth closed. Let's undo these damn twisty ties. Get this fucker out of here. This is a great movie. We covered it at the end of, towards the end of Horror Fest last year on Dylan's Horror Show. By the way, March Madness coming up. Starting next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, at Dylan's Horror Show. Got some I got to cut here. And there's so many of these things. They really don't want you to get them out. That one almost seems very difficult to get. Hold on. Ah, the one around the mouth. God. There's one more. It's on that back arm, though. Pray I don't cut myself. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and cut that and pull this one off, too. There's no way I bought this thing to stay in its box. There we go. All right, there's the extra head. Looks pretty dope. You can't close the mouth or open the mouth, so what it is what it is. That's why there's two different heads. But here's the figure. American Werewolf in London. Obviously, the werewolf's on its hind legs the entire time. Pretty big. So here's that Hulk figure. Pretty freaking big. I wish I had a NECA. Oh, I do have a NECA near me. I have Dream Warriors Freddy. So let's compare. Pretty freaking dope. Pretty freaking dope, y'all. That's awesome. I showed this off last night on Dylan's Horror Show. Got a message this morning, first thing from Dylan. Let me know if you guys gain more. Let's put on the mouth open head. Because that's the one that's going to be displayed. You know it. Bloody, snarly mouth. Look at that. I mean, there's not going to be so much you can do with it. There's only going to be so much you can do with it to, like, pose it, but pretty freaking dope. Yeah, I like the gaping hole of the mouth, too. Anyway, pretty dope. Y'all are the best. Two Gun, you're the best. Ron, you're the best. Bueller, you're the best. Big Herm, and the rest of y'all, you're the best. Hey, Jelani's here. He got this on Friday. Jelani, we'll see you tomorrow night for PCP movie night. I got to go watch Superman 4 right now. So we're dipping out. Love you guys. Pop, pop, boom. I had my mic muted. Basically, what I said was, got to go watch Superman 4. Looking forward to it. Superman 3, it's definitely the funniest one. But now I get to go see Superman 4. Woo. Fucking rookie.